Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to give a brief presentation on why I recommend that no more COVID-19 injections be administered, especially not to very young children and babies. Thanks for the invitation. So I'm going to be using VAERS data in order to show you some evidences and to provide reasons why I think that we shouldn't do this and why I recommend against it. So VAERS is the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System of the United States. It's a pharmacovigilance tool, which is designed to detect safety signals in biological data that weren't detected in pre-market testing. VAERS is a functioning pharmacovigilance database, and it's been used in the past to withdraw products from the market that were deemed to be causing serious adverse events, such as intussusception in the case of the rotavirus vaccine. VAERS is functioning, as I said, but it does have a downside. It is underreported. And as of the COVID era, it's actually been quite discouraged in hospital settings to report adverse events in the context of the COVID injections, even though it's mandatory to do so, according to the owners of the data, the CDC. Now, since the inception of VAERS, it's been on the go for 30 years. There's been a slight upward trend of increased reporting of adverse events. And that's what you see on the left here. This is a graph of the change in file size over the last 30 years. And this is not surprising because there are more products being put on the market. So there's a proportional increase in the number of adverse events being reported. On the right, however, you see the change, this sudden change in 2021, which no one has explained yet. Why is there this incredibly big change in the file size and the number of adverse events being reported only in the context of the COVID products, as when compared to the past 30 years of data? I'm not going to show this here, but I've proven it before. This is not due to an increase in the number of shots. If you compare flu to the COVID shots, there's about 2.3 times as many COVID shots administered as flu shots for this given time frame. And there are far more adverse events reported. And it's not only the number of adverse events that are being reported that has increased dramatically, it's the range. So there's a marked increase in reports in 2021 onwards. That's a clear divergence from this proportional increase that we saw related to the product number over the past 30 years. This is the situation as of October 6th in VAERS. These are two plots showing the number of adverse events on the left by age group and the number of adverse events per 100,000 doses administered on the right. And I want to draw your attention to two things here. The absolute number of reports, which is just shy of 1.6 million. And I didn't show this, and I'm not going to, but I've shown it before. The average number of adverse events reported for all vaccines combined historically for the past 30 years in VAERS is 39,000. So there's no comparison here at all. I want to draw your attention also to the 0 to 4 age group, because we're going to be talking about that. The rate of increase here of the number of adverse events reported per 100,000 doses has been increasing faster than any other age group. I've been looking at this data for 3 years, and when they started the injection rollout in the 0 to 4-year-olds, it wasn't that long ago, this red bar started getting bigger faster, and it's still growing. So there are safety signals emitted across all age groups, including the 0 to 4-year-olds. Now, something that's very important to remember here is that the COVID shots were never needed in children. There are a number of studies. I've outlined them here. They're all reference articles as well that provide numerous evidences that children were fine. Everybody knows this. It's accepted by all of the agencies. And just to top that off, the infection fatality rate was calculated for children in the 0 to 4 and the 5 through 9 and the 10 through 14 age groups, and it's basically 0. So there is no need. And where there is risk, you really have to be cautious. So there is a risk. As of October 6th, the number of VAERS reports in the number of adverse events in VAERS for children age 0 through 18 is just over 75,000. So this is including serious adverse events, which I'm not showing here, but considering the fact that the infection fatality rate is 0 pretty much, there was no need to give these children these shots. And we are seeing adverse events. These are just the adverse events that we're seeing being reported, by the way. Theirs is underreported. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. Some studies have shown that there's only about 1% of people who report an adverse event into VAERS. This is even more horrific. There have been 222 deaths reported to date in VAERS. This is 222 more than ever should have been reported in the context of this product that these children did not need. VAERS reports of product administered to patient of inappropriate age by pharmacists. Now, the reason I'm showing this slide is because even before the allowable date of rollout of these products into 0 to 4-year-olds, they were being injected. I'm not sure how this happened, if the parents just were afraid and they wanted to get their kids injected, so they lied about their age, or if the administrator was really like, they thought it was so important that they didn't care that the child was underage. But this is notoriously happening. It's a problem. And this shows how many of these events happened at the hands of a pharmacist. Now, these are professionals. They're licensed to give vaccinations and injections. So my question is, how is it possible that of all the 3,496 products that were administered to kids or people that were not the right age, 96% of them, this happened in children. And just to top this off, 4 of these children were sent to the ER in the context of being injected by a pharmacist. Now, that might not seem like a lot of children, but to me, it's 4 children too many. In the total, 13 children died. This is the children that were injected at the wrong age by all people, not just pharmacists. 13 died. So think about that. I want to repeat this. 13 children died because they were injected with a product that was not approved for their age category. Died. 107 were sent to the ER. I think, I'm of the personal opinion that every single slide that I'm showing here is enough as evidence to at least induce the precautionary principle. But at best, I would hope that parents and administrators and even policymakers would be informed enough to not promote this. This is one of my last slides. I really wanted to bring this up because I think it matters in terms of the babies. Mothers who are breastfeeding, who are also subsequently exposed to the COVID products by being injected, are reporting adverse events, 6,424 to date. These are just the reports that are being made. So it does not represent all of the mothers who are suffering. And of this number, this cohort, there are 17 babies. And I can tell you, because I read their symptom text, which is basically the doctor's notes about what actually happened to them, that most of these babies suffered very high fever. And when I say very high, I mean 104. And in one case, it lasted more than 4 days. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, but that would probably induce brain damage in that baby. And there are also a lot of reports of seizures, febrile seizures, which can be very bad for an infant who can't even hold their head up properly. And just to finish up this slide, in the black box, I've made note of one of the notes from the doctor, and they write, mother of a 12-month-old boy received the first dose of COVID-19 at 9:15 a.m. She breastfed her 12-month-old son. 3 hours later, while breastfeeding, the child developed acute anaphylaxis. Now, if an infant goes into anaphylactic shock, they can die very easily. And it's written here, to be clear, mother had the vaccine, the child had the reaction. I know that a lot of people who are pro-narrative, safe and effective narrative would say this is anecdotal, but this is a mother and her baby. And this is definitive. This is passage of the whatever is being passed in the form of proteins or lipid nanoparticles from mother to baby by breast milk. So, I mean, I don't need to remind most of the people here that we were told that this wouldn't happen. We were told that the lipid nanoparticles and the modified mRNA would stay at the injection site. We were told that integration issues wouldn't be an issue. Everything we were told wasn't justified by scientific study. And now that the scientific studies and the data are being revealed and done, we're finding out that absolutely all of the things that we were told that absolutely couldn't happen and wouldn't happen are in fact happening. When we're talking about our children and our babies, mother's fertility, we have to be careful. We cannot screw this up because it could really be to the detriment of our entire species. And I know that that sounds dramatic, but it's a fact. This is my last slide. This is a well-known figure that I produced a long time ago. Myocarditis is notoriously being reported in young children in the context of these shots following dose 2. This in particular is evidence of causation, a causal effect, because if there wasn't something causal here, then we wouldn't see this type of pattern following dose 2. Now, this is primarily happening, this fourfold increase in reporting in boys. It's not shown here, and 15-year-olds, which is shown here. So it's horrific that, I mean, it took so long for the agencies, the CDC and the manufacturers to even acknowledge that myocarditis was a problem, because it's a huge problem. Now, I've been showing this for years. You can't simply recover from myocarditis if you're a young person. It's been passed off as being mild and transient. It's neither of these things. If you get fibrotic scarring on your myocardium, it's a matter of time before you pass, before you have a cardiac arrest. Something that Peter McCullough is talking about quite a bit these days is the effects of the heart damage from fibrotic scarring induced by myocarditis a long time after the last shot. Now, I don't want to scare people here. What I do want to do is have this acknowledged. And if this is occurring, and it is, in adults, in children, then by no means is this not going to affect infants and newborns if these products are causing this. And it is my opinion that they absolutely are causing a lot of the adverse events. There's no doubt. I think there are over 200 peer-reviewed papers on the subject matter of injection-induced myocarditis now on PubMed. So this is going to be my last slide. I hope that I've provided some compelling evidence and that it makes a difference, because I think that we need to take better care of each other, considering what we've been through in the last 3 years. And I think that we need to take care of our children the most. So with that, I say obrigado and good luck and Godspeed to everyone.